I've reached the end of my front bands and edging, and everything is ready to go to just cut the steek now. Because I've used a very, very light green, it's hard to see, but if you've used a contrast color for your slip stitch, this will be more obvious. Now, obviously I've used a crochet steek here, but if you've got a feltable fabric and if you've got a felting needle, instead of doing the crochet, at this stage you can also just needle felt all the way up here to hold it. So anything at all to stop these stitches from unraveling. And then what you're going to want is a super, super sharp scissors and stretch these out to make sure that what you're doing is cutting in between. So I'm going to very, very carefully cut the edge here. And then I will go slowly up to cut in between the two lines of my crochet, because you want to go very slowly so that you don't accidentally end up cutting the crochet. So this is what it's going to look like. You'll just have a little bit of yarn ends here and here. And again, if you're concerned or if you're worried something is going to go, you can go ahead and get a needle felter and kind of just needle felt along here, which will, particularly if you've got a yarn that is feltable, so it's a natural fiber, it's actually going to do the job. So all I'm going to do now is continue on up here with my cutting, and at that point all that's left to do is fold these back and do whip stitch along the edge here. Now that I've finished the cut, you can see that the front bands are going to lie much more smoothly for me, and this just wants to flip back over here. So the last thing you're going to need to do is to figure out how you want to finish this off. You may opt to just leave it as it is. I actually think it doesn't look too bad, or if you want to secure it a little bit more, there's a few things that I've seen people do. One of them is just putting like a ribbon or some kind of tape that you can just whip stitch down there. Or alternatively, you can use, probably the working yarn is going to be best, where you can just go ahead and whip stitch the edge in up along. If you are opting to do this, like I will come back and weave those in, I would keep away from the actual crochet edge. So what I'm inclined to do is pick a column of stitches where you keep it in the same one, where you're just going to whip in up along here, pull this through, and come in over to the other side of the crochet hook. So all your across the crochet. So you want to, there's two things that you're going to try and do. The first is you'll always come up along the same column of stitches, but don't put it all the way through the work because you don't want to see it at the front. So you'll put it in somewhat along like that, and then you can come in along on this side and attach along there. So you're basically just trying to very, very gently hold this down in place. And the other thing that I think that what I try to do with this is basically protect the actual steek edge along there, so it's not going to flip out and it's not going to get too much abuse. You may opt to go a little bit closer, where you just pull in one stitch here, so it's going to make it a bit tidier. If you pull in all the way across like this, it's going to make a much bigger stitch, so it's not going to be quite as tidy looking. But if you just come in over into a single side of the stitch like this, it's going to make it just a small bit tidier. So you can kind of keep going in one stitch at a side, so that all you're doing is very gently trying to attach it down so that it's protected. You may have a method that you prefer, but like something like this, it will help to not disturb the actual the crochet edging that you've got here.